This week something with off-roading aspirations, making promises that I don't think it can keep up. But let's have a look. The Mitsubishi Pajero GLS. From the front, this looks just like any other Mitsubishi Pajero Sport. It's got the same kind of nice lights. I quite like the look of the front though. This, as you can see, has been dollied up for some serious off-roading. 8-inch tyres and side steps because this is a fairly tall car. I think it looks the business. It's got this nice pearlescent white paint, or certainly metallic. Looks rather smart. They've all got the same Myvec 4-cylinder diesel, 4-cylinder turbo diesel. This one's been set up for a little bit of light towing, and it's not completely bereft of luxury either, even though this is the second to bottom model. There's not a whole lot of room in the back with both seats up, and you can tumble them down. You see I've got one pre-tumbled down. It sort of goes sort of flat. This is the strap for the back, but this is the strap for the seat. So you pull this strap and the seat tumbles forward. Then you have to pull this strap to tumble the seat back forward, and that gives you a nearly flat surface. And you just have to lock the seat back into place when you finish with it, and just maybe adjust that seat belt back a bit. As tall as this car is, I still have strife getting into them because I've got a bit of a dodgy back. But this material on the seat, fairly comfortable. It's a bit of a cast back. It looks velour-esque, and there's certainly plenty of space. I'm not even going to try that back row though, because that really is best for little ones. We've got a couple of outlets here in the back, and some power and USB as well. So you're certainly well catered for space, unless you're in that third row. As we know, that's going to be for kids. It's got push button start, so that's good. And of course, it has Apple CarPlay by cable. You can see that's already plugged into Apple CarPlay. So if I want to go into Apple CarPlay, have to go home. I'd already gone into CarPlay. I'll put my usual address in. There we go. Rightio, 15 minutes worth. Excellent. So you can see that little drop-in system, I mean, it's nothing special, and this is the second to bottom of range, so you really can't expect anything too much. When you look down here though, this is what you notice. There are no off-roading controls. It's just a simple auto hold, electric brake, and the gear selector. That's all is on the center console, along with a space for your phone, which in the top models I've no doubt is a wireless charger, and a 12-volt outlet and 2 USBs and an HDMI. Above that, there's the air conditioning controls, and then some hard-wired controls at the bottom of the media center. That's it. That's all you get. I mean, it is 2-zone climate control, I guess, so it's not completely primitive. But unless you're not very observant, you will have picked up the fact that I said there are no off-roading controls, because this is a 2-wheel drive. And I simply cannot understand why you would buy a vehicle that is, well, it's not awful to drive on roads like this. It drives like the ute that it's based on, the Mitsubishi Triton. It's got leaf springs replaced by multi-link suspension and disc brakes instead of drum brakes. There's a few other things as well. Only the top models of the Pajero Sport get the smart road assistance features like blind spot monitor and lane control and so forth. Seems a bit mean to me. I mean, it's certainly got the ability to do it. Maybe they've stripped everything out to get it down to this price. But I don't know. I think that's stripping a little too far out, don't you? Now, the thing is, this feels like an SUV to drive. It doesn't feel like a car. So the steering is a little woolly. And The brakes are great, they're extremely sharp, but the whole thing feels more like it'd be much more at home in the rough stuff. And yet, with two-wheel drive, that's not a great idea. Mind you, you still have a lot of ground clearance, so there's that. For 48,000 and some change, I guess it's a 7-seater option if you don't want to go for something like a Carnival, Kia Carnival or whatever, Toyota Kluger. The interior of this feels a little bit ye olde worldy. It doesn't feel like it's been updated in a very long time. And it has been tweaked here and there since it was launched, but this is by no means a modern looking cabin. I've got a digital readout between two analog dials. Over on the right side, I've got the crash detection off, parking sensors off, and the mirror controls. Now, as you see, as we go around a corner, I do have to put a little effort into getting the little doggy around. Performance from a relatively small engine in this relatively heavy car is actually okay. It's an 8-speed automatic, incredibly smooth, and the engine, at least from the outside, is quite noisy. Inside though, this is really very quiet. The other thing is it's got automatic wipers, so you're not completely without the modern facilities. I have to say, ride is actually quite good. Again, it rides like an SUV, not like a car. And parking, well, it's not as difficult as you might think because the parking camera in this is very good. I feel very much like this is a car for a very specific purpose. I just can't work out what the purpose is. Certainly just going around these back streets, and I'm only doing about 40, it feels kind of like I'm riding in somebody's lounge room. And with the obsession everyone's got now with buying SUVs, everybody else has now bought SUVs as well. So you're not actually sitting above the traffic anymore. You're sitting pretty much level with almost everything on the road. The sound from the sound system is acceptable. And of course, there's a lot of hard surfaces. So you're never too far from the industrial roots from which this car emerged. Now, we had the multi-drive, the 4-wheel drive version of this on sand dunes, and it was fabulous fun. So I'm back to that question again. Why would you buy a 2-wheel drive SUV? The soft roaders I can understand. You know, the ones with all-wheel drive that aren't proper 4-wheel drive. So I think we've proved that certainly around town, this is very capable. And if you do want to carry a few extra people in with you, well, you can do that as well. And if you want to have kids in the back, you can do that. On the highway, it is a little floaty and you don't have those assistants, which a lot of people like. I don't care one way or another. I do like blind spot monitor though. I think that is absolutely essential, and this doesn't have it. So do I think the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport in 2-wheel drive form is worth the money? Yeah, I guess so. That's pretty reliable. The performance is okay. It certainly feels rugged. I feel like I can go anywhere in it. It's got a decent driving position, and it's nice and quiet. And that's all this week from the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport GLS 2-wheel drive. It is cheap for what it is, I guess, but why would you go to all that trouble of getting an off-roading car that can't go off-road? As always, leave a comment, hit like, and just subscribe.